Welcome, everybody, to Beyond the Grave Radio with Haunted Salem, where the dead educate the living. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are here with Roger Bell discussing Notorious Outlaws, and we are live. Welcome, Roger.
Hello.
Let me, this is my first live YouTube live event show, so we're just going to make sure we have everything set up right, and then we'll get started. Okay, so Roger, you're here, right? Ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to go.
All right, well, the old Wild West happens to be one of the most fascinating periods in American history. Immortalized in a number of films, songs, folklore, and even video games, the American Wild West has become famous for its cowboys, gunslingers, and outlaws. Though the most notorious outlaws of the Wild West were considered enemies of the state, today they are often spoken of as heroes and trailblazers. Regardless of what you think of them, though, no one can argue that these are definitely the most notorious outlaws of the Wild West. It is said that the James Farm in Kearney, Missouri, where the notorious outlaw Jesse James grew up, is haunted. Jesse James' parents moved from Kentucky to Kearney in 1842. His father was a Baptist minister who wanted his boys to be well educated. However, in a trip to the California gold fields, he died, leaving his sons without a father. Jesse was just 3 years old. His mother, Zerelda, lived on the farm for the rest of her life, his sons through marriages and 8 children. During the Civil War in 1863, the James farm was brutally attacked by the Union soldiers. Shortly afterwards, Jesse, aged 16, and his older brother Frank became Confederate guerrilla soldiers, riding with William Quantrill in the Bloody Bill Anderson. Now, after the Civil War, the James brothers, Jesse and Frank, now officially outlaws, started to attack trains, banks, and stagecoaches that were controlled by the northern side, which brought brutal control to the Missouri legislation. From 1860 to 1882, the James Gang was the most feared band of outlaws in America. Responsible for 20 banks and train robberies, they murdered countless individuals that stood in their way. They stole an estimate about $200,000. Despite their ruthlessness, they became folk heroes to some. They literally became legends in their own time. Now, in 1869, the gang robbed a bank in Missouri. Jesse shot the banker through the heart, feeling he was responsible for the murder of the Bloody Bill Anderson. The James gang lost some public favor after this. Local newspapers started to call for the capture of the bloodthirsty gang. Frustrated at how the locals protected them, the governor at the time had the railroad place an enormous price on James' brother's head. Pinkerton detectives, hired by several bankers, raided the James farm in 1875, thinking the older brothers were there. They threw a bomb in the window, killing Jesse and Frank's younger half-brother, Archie, as their mother watched. She lost part of her right arm and had her hand during the struggle. In one bank robbery, several members of the gang were killed. After a part of their gangs were sent to prison for 25 years. So in 1882, the brothers planned one last robbery, and Charlie and Bob Ford. They did not know these brothers intended to betray them for the large price on their heads. So one morning, they were committed to this robbery. Jesse ate breakfast with the Fords, placed his gun on one of the farmhouse beds, and stopped to straighten a picture that hung on the wall. Bob Ford, he shot Jesse in the back of the head. He died instantly and was buried in the side yard of the James farmhouse. His remains were later removed to the family plot at Mount Olive Cemetery in Kearney. Now, the locals did not appreciate that the Ford's brothers had done. Bob Ford, who was pardoned by Governor Crittenden, was driven out of Missouri, known as the coward who had shot Jesse. He traveled around in a Wild West show, ironically, about the James gang. He was shot and killed in Colorado in 1892. His older brother, Charlie, stayed in Missouri but was shunned. He committed suicide 10 years after his brother was murdered. So Frank James gave himself up after Jesse was killed, and he was tried several times, but there was never enough evidence to convict him. He lived peacefully for the rest of his life at the farm. In later years, he was charged tourist money to give them a tour of the place. The James farm and the house have been considered haunted for over 100 years. Employees at the farm still report odd occurrences. After the museum closed for the night, many have spotted lights going on and off in the farmhouse. Others report that doors have slammed shut in front of them without cause. So several witnesses have reported hearing horse hooves stomping outside on foggy nights. When investigating, nothing has ever been found. Others have reported hearing whispers, conversations inside the house when no one was there. Some have even heard a bomb going off or cries and gunshots as if a Civil War battle is happening outside. Many staff at the museum today will not go into the house alone. They state that they feel an unnatural, intense presence in the home that scares them. So that's the story of Jesse James, which is one of my favorites, by the way. So what do you think, Roger?
Well, we still got some more to talk about Jesse James, but Jesse James and the Youngers, you know, if you follow that, and of course there's been lots of movies made.
Yes.
And they never portray the complete truth. Everybody knows this. But a lot of what is in them is true.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you watch some of these movies and you can actually picture yourself, or I can, as if I was one of them riders and I'm hard at it, you know, going to or away from a robbery or something like that, you know, and everybody's hot on your trail. And I just love the Old West, okay? Everything involving the Old West, the gunslingers, the outlaws, the whole 9 yards, you know, you could kind of picture yourself there. And of course, Billy the Kid's one of my favorites, but you know, Jesse James and the Youngers, they all are up here in the good high level too. And of course, you would have to add in the Hole in the Wall gang.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, it's all great. If you, I mean, I've sat and watched so many of these movies and everything, you know, when you get all tensed up, like, and you know what's going to happen, right? But you're all tensed up, like, run, Jesse, run. You know?
I love the Old West. I love all these outlaws. They're awesome.
Now we know what all happened here, and of course, Jesse James lived in a lot of houses. And he was only 34 years old, and that's sad. You know, that's a young life, actually.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
He spent a lot of time running from the law. Most of the houses that he lived in were forgotten. And yet his last home, known simply as Jesse James' home, has become a bona fide tourist attraction, but not because what most people would think. Not the house itself, but the bullet hole.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even the hotel, what's the name of that hotel that is connected with Jesse James?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it either off the top of my head.
I thought it began with a T.
Well,
but whatever.
You know, the thing about the Jameses and the Youngers is most of the people would hide them out. You know, they had a lot of supporters, and because they believed in what they were doing. They were kind of like a Robin Hood of the West.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when they would rob from, you know, the banks and everything, they would give money to the poor. You know, help them out. And that was, you know, so they kind of had a lot of support. Hotel owners, just people in general would bring them into their house and hide them out, you know. They just had that persona of Robin Hood, you know, and so yeah. I can't think of the name of that hotel, but I'm sure there was more than one. where, you know, they probably hid out at, you know, and stayed at.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, the bullet hole was made at roughly the same moment that Jesse James was shot in the back of the head by one of his supposed friends, Bob Ford. This happened on April 3rd, 1882, but you'd never guess it from the interest that people still have in the hole. People reason that the bullet that made the hole also took a shortcut through Jesse's head, which makes it a celebrity death hole. And a thing worth visiting. For over 50 years, tourists were even allowed to touch the hole. That was a bad idea, as the hole was now a fist-sized blob enlarged by generations of groping fingers. It looks as if Jesse James had been shot with a potato. I was thinking a bazooka, but that works too.
A potato.
In 1995, fans of the bullet hole received shocking news. Jesse James was dug out of his grave to prove that he really did die in 1882 and not in 1951, as others have claimed. DNA extracted from a tooth found in the grave proved with 99.7% certainty that it was Jesse. But the grave also yielded an unexpected discovery. Jesse's skull had no exit wounds from the bullet. So what made the bullet hole? The theory now is that it was made by a bullet fired by Charlie Ford, Bob's brother, who was also in the house on that fateful day and evidently was also blasting away at Jesse's head. The news that the bullet hole is probably not what it was thought to be is disappointing to some, but people still come to see it. It is, after all, the bullet hole. Bullet hole famous now just because it's been famous, and Jesse James really did die here, even if passing wasn't exactly covered in glory. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it is. The Talbert Tavern. It's one of them. But
yeah, there you go. There's the T. That's what we're
yeah, I
talking.
knew it was the Talbert.
The fact that the bullet hole that they thought was from the bullet exiting Jesse's head actually may have not have been.
Yeah.
So you got people rummaging around in here digging and I'm gonna get my fingers in this bullet hole, you know. That's the bullet that killed Jesse James.
Yeah,
so
there was no exit.
The size of your fist.
So they're curious what made the hole. Absolutely.
A big old fist-sized hole that they wallowed out, all to find out that it's not the actual bullet
That's
hole.
crazy. Isn't that crazy?
So now we have a softball-sized hole in our wall that was made by a bullet, but not the bullet that killed Jesse James. Okay. So, you know, you got to think how many people whose fingers were rummaging around in there.
Tavern in Bardstown, Kentucky, was built in the 1700s. Located in the Court Square, it has also provided food and shelter for travelers. Past famous guests that stayed at this inn include Abraham Lincoln and his family, Daniel Boone, and French King Louis Philip. Bullet holes in a faded painting on one wall in the tavern were put there when Jesse James supposedly shot his gun in the tavern. So a lot of paranormal activity has been reported at the Talbot. Furniture moves, shadows are seen, and phantom music is heard playing. One apparition is seen at the inn and is said to be Jesse James's ghost. A bookkeeper that works at the Talbot encountered his ghost one night as she went upstairs to place money in the safe. She and a cook were the only two people in the inn at this time. As she walked up the stairs, she was startled when she saw a stranger standing on the landing. He was wearing a long white duster coat. She hesitated as he walked across the top landing. The cook joined her on the stairs, for he had also seen the stranger. They both went upstairs and saw this man walk into a door to their right. As they entered this room, they saw him walk out the back door and then saw him walk down the hall into the fire escape door, which was locked. He disappeared through the door. They unlocked this door and saw him looking up at them from the fire escape. He laughed and vanished right in front of them. A month later, this bookkeeper was watching a television show when they showed a picture of Jesse James. She grabbed her husband's arm and told him that that's the ghost that she had seen at the inn. Since 2 other employees at the tavern have seen the ghost of Jesse James walking down various hallways in the building. Another ghost scene is the lady in white. 2 guests awoke to see her floating over their bed. She looked down at them and then went out the window. They were so frightened they left the inn in the middle of the night. Another witness, an employee at the tavern, states that she's seen the lady in white walk through the dining room on several occasions. She described this ghost as thin, a long wavy brown hair, and dressed in 1800s style white dress. So, like you said, there are a lot of places that he has been and in and out of, and this is one of them. And
Yeah, a lot
they
of
see his ghost there too.
a lot of other spirits that hang around were from his era. A lot of
We seem to have lost your sound.
Okay. Well, it's not showing that my sound is out. You not hear me? Hello? Hello? All right, what's going on here? Can you still not hear me? I don't hear you. Oh, okay, hold on. uh, no, no. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so you can hear me? Uh, okay. I don't know what happened. I heard a click and then she went out and I didn't hear anything. I don't know what's up with that. Speaking to, I muted you by mistake. Okay. Hold on. Let me see if they're still hearing me. Okay. We can hear you. We can't hear Christina. Okay. I don't know what happened, you guys. We're working on it. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
You are.
All right, we're having a little technical difficulties, nothing like that on live YouTube, but you know it is what it is. All right, we got sound back.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. You got your chat window player running over there.
I do not. I don't have chat up right now. I apologize for that. Like I said, this is our first show. Need to get used to. Need to get used to it, basically.
Okay. I don't know why I'm doing that. I don't have the chat window running or anything. I mean, the video goes not running. I don't know why it's doing that.
Hey, at least I can hear you right now. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I can hear you again, and you were the one that was missing. So, yeah, that's all I'm doing. I forgot what I was going to say because we were interrupted there. Oh, I was talking about how some of the other spirits that they're not like Jesse James where they were in the limelight,
Okay.
but they were also there where he was. We're probably involved with him at some kind of stage or some point. But they're not really talked about much, right? Because they were famous. Like you're talking about the lady and wife that was famous. She may have been mentioned just because a lot of people seem to have seen her. She's a lady in white. She's talking over somebody's being scared the crap out of them. But she was probably involved with the James gang and all of them when they were there.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's some other ones that are not well known. They're not famous. If they're a fleeting glance somebody saw, that's probably yeah, we saw a fleeting shadow run down the hall this way, and that's all that's ever going to be said. You see what I'm saying? They don't get any glory. Like
Yeah. No, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is sad, man. Come on, give me some glory too. I was there.
Yep.
But anyway, this is driving me nuts. I don't know what's doing this. And it's not from my.
What's going on?
When I talk.
What about it?
You don't hear it?
I hear it.
It's repeating.
Are you in chat?
I am, but my player's not running over there. It shouldn't be doing that.
Okay. I don't hear it repeating.
Okay. Well, it's still doing it. You don't hear it, but I do. Anyway, okay. Excuse me. We are going to talk about one of the most famous duos in gangster history here, Bonnie and Clyde.
I love Bonnie and Clyde. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
Besides Jesse James.
Yeah. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow were two of America's most famous gangsters during the Great Depression. The two met originally in 1930 in Dallas, Texas. They both came from desperate poverty and both had an utter contempt for authority. Bonnie, 19, fell madly in love with the 21-year-old Clyde. And I'm going to stop right here for just a second and bring up a ugly rumor. How many people have ever heard that Clyde Burrow was gay, and that's why they didn't have a lot of uh, what's the word I'm looking for here? Hot and intense relations. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, just a little tidbit I want to bring up. Shortly after their first meeting, Clyde was sent to jail for burglary. Bonnie managed to smuggle a gun to him and aided his escape. But Clyde was recaptured and served a 12-month sentence. Once out, he hooked up with Bonnie again in 1932, where he never go back to prison. Bonnie and Clyde would probably end up being proud to die with him. The couple spent the next 21 months on the road with others who became known as the Barrow Boys. They quickly moved from petty thievery into bank robbery, kidnapping, and murder. It is stated that Bonnie didn't shoot anyone, but that she would reload Clyde's guns. Their crime spree spanned the rural parts of Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Missouri. The yellow puss at the time romanticized the birds, which to many depression or Americans they became a badly needed form of entertainment. But the reality was Bonnie and Clyde carrying out ruthless bank and store robberies where sometimes they kidnapped or wounded their victims. Clyde and various gang members murdered 13 people, 2 of which were police officers. The pair actually didn't live up to their glamorized image, but they did leave a in their way. They managed to elude the police for almost 2 years, but as their crimes became more violent, law enforcement doubled and then tripled their efforts. The police did not take battle to cop killers. In the end, one of their own gang members betrayed them. In May of 1934, the couple were driving a backwooded road near their hideout, Bainville Parish, Louisiana, when police officers from Texas and Louisiana set up a roadblock near Gibbsland, Louisiana. These 5 officers ambushed the stolen car Bonnie and Clyde were in, and within minutes the car was riddled with over 100 bullets. Of course, that's not the way the movie portrays it. They were set up by some guy sitting on the side of the road with one truck. They stopped to help. Bonnie got her wound. Her body was found dead slumped over Clyde. The 2 bodies were towed from the side, still in the car. Before this was done, however, onlookers managed to snip hair and other souvenirs from the body. One man even tried to cut off Clyde's ear and trigger finger, but the officers managed to stop him. Since their deaths, many people claim their ghosts still remain. Well, I wonder.
Good boy. Good boy.
You know, if you were talking about in a situation like that, okay?
Yep.
You know, here you are not suspecting anything, and as the movie portrays it, you type it up some poor farmer on the side of the road. Next thing you know, bullets are flying everywhere, and you're cut all the pieces in the car and everything. What better place to find the spirit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What is one of the main reasons for a haunting is a tragic death or, a lot of high energy, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Around a situation like that. So, yeah, I think Bonnie kind of be there. And more likely at that spot, car no. I would expect maybe to find some residual there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
and maybe some actual activity wherever they were taken to. Um, where I don't know how they went about doing the remains. You know, did they go to a funeral home? Did they bury them, properly? But that's where I would expect to see the actual activity at, and the place where it all happened. That would be such a high energy area. I would expect to see residual there.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. And
Anyway,
the death car itself is considered to be haunted, isn't it?
yeah, and don't they have that in a museum or something somewhere?
Yeah, it's actually in let's see. It's in Nevada, across the border from California.
I thought they had it in a museum. And I'm sure that there's probably activity around that beach wherever it
Oh,
is.
wait a minute. That's yeah, hold on a second. That's the shirt. That's the bloodstained shirt, the bullet hole shirt.
Yeah.
That's where that is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the death car is yeah, it's in a museum. I don't know, not sure exactly where the death car is.
I would love to go to the museum where we have that and just, hang out there for a little while and see if I can catch or anything. Because I'm sure there's something around that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely.
A bloodstained shirt, maybe, but a car where they were filling in and there's full of bullet holes and all this kind of high energy. Yeah, they're going to be there.
Now I actually post that quite a bit on my Haunted Salem, and the car is just filled with bullet holes. They're everywhere.
More than 100. They say 100. I mean, there was more than 100 bullet holes.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is like riddled up and you got Tommy guns and stuff. You know what I mean? I would have to think there would be at least 1,000.
Yeah, there's no dodging that at all.
Say it, but these two characters, and of course in the movies they make them look all glamorous. She's all decked out, and he's got the suit and the hat and the whole 9 yards, decked out.
Yeah.
I would not. Well, yeah, maybe later on, but in the beginning, I would have not thought that they would be dressed so fancily because they didn't have any money.
Yeah.
I could see the whole regular thing with the suspenders and the what am I looking for? Farm type clothing. You know what I mean? And I do believe that somewhere I read he was raised on a farm. I'm not sure. Oh, or maybe Babyface Nelson.
Oh yeah, baby. Yep.
Yeah. And anyway, let's get back into this and see where I was. People claim they're ghost still. I would imagine, yeah. The most active of these homes is at the site in the wooded area near where they were shot. That's what I was talking about.
Yep.
And killed in Louisiana. Today, a weather-worn marker is placed at the spot where Bob Inside's car rolled off the road. Many visitors to this spot have reported strange anomalies and mist showing up in their photographs. Most state that these strange lights appear in just one of the many photos they took. The car itself is also considered haunted by the ghosts. For 30 years, this blood-splattered, bullet-ridden V8 Ford death car, as it is known, was a popular attraction at carnivals. Now, see, I've never heard that.
Okay.
Amusement parks, flea markets, and state fairs. It is estimated that it made its various owners millions of dollars. It did. Today, the car is displayed in a room along with side barrels, blood-stained bullet-hole shirt at Whiskey Peak Casino in Trin, Nevada. So that's where.
That's where the shirt is, yeah.
Well, it says the car is too.
Oh, really? Okay.
It says today the
Oh,
car.
yeah, the car is displayed in a room along with the shirt, absolutely. Yep.
Just across the border from California. Okay. Several people who have viewed the tour over the years state they got a creepy, unnatural feeling as they stood near it. Yet again, many people who have taken photographs of this car have picked up strange anomalies in their pictures. One hotel that Bonnie and Clyde stayed at for several nights during their crime spree was the Baker Hotel in Mineral Wells, Texas. It is stated they haunt two specific areas of the hotel, the bridal room and the ballroom. Some feel their ghosts are still present because they are reliving fond memories. Others say that it is several objects the hotel owns that keep these ghosts active. For the hotel once had Bonnie's 38 revolver on display, as well as photographs of her and Clyde.
Hmm. You would think wherever the items or the objects are, they're obviously going to be
Right.
things happening there. You know what I mean?
Well, I gotta ask this question, okay? Because as an investigator myself, I've not ever heard of this. Okay, you can't be in three places at one time.
No.
Can a spirit be in three places at one time?
No.
Okay, so people are saying that Bonnie and Clyde are where the car is in Nevada, but yet they're saying that they're in the rooms of this hotel in
Yeah, but
Texas.
they can go back and forth. They can go from this place to that place to this place.
Okay, so then that brings up another question. If I were a spirit, and especially if I was a spirit that was shot up with thousands of bullets,
Yeah.
okay, uh, would I choose to hang out where my car was, where is tragedy and death and all of this stuff, or would I choose to hang out in the hotel in Texas where I had some fun memories?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be walking the streets. I wouldn't be
Exactly.
anywhere.
I'd be a Texan. I'm here to tell you, big brim hat off.
Yep. No, I understand completely what you're
I mean,
saying.
that just, it come to my mind. If I had a choice of where I wanted to spend my afterlife, if
It
I
wouldn't be there.
would I
Yeah.
be here at this car that's where I got tore up with bullets, or would I be down here where I had this fun time?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're.
So I got to, and like I said, I don't even think a spirit can be in two, three places at one time, but it would have to run back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to Texas. Just, questions that come to mind. Where would you rather be if you were a spirit?
Well, they're great questions.
You know, would you be where you had fun, or would you be where you got shot? I'm gonna hang out here because this is where they shot me. I want to hang out down there where I had fun. We had ballroom parties and all that. Just questions that come to mind. And you're gonna talk about one of my all-time favorites,
Billy
Billy
the
the
Kid.
Kid.
I
Billy
love
is
Billy the
one of
Kid.
my all-time favorites.
Yep. Well, Billy the Kid's real name was Henry McCarty, and he was born in New York City. His father died when he was a child. His mother, Catherine, moved west with him and his brother, Joseph. She supported them by operating various hotels, boarding houses, and laundries. She had been diagnosed with tuberculosis. Billy was 12, and she died a year later. In 1875, the first brush with the law occurred when he was arrested for stealing clothes from two Chinese. He escaped from jail and was on the run after that. About this time, he changed his name to William H. Bonney, probably to spare his family name. August 17th, 1877, he killed his first man. This was near Camp Grant, Arizona, at a saloon. The victim was a blacksmith named Windy. He had been constantly tormenting Billy, slapping him around and wrestling him to the floor. Finally, Billy had enough and shot him. He fled town and wandered around the cow towns of New Mexico and Arizona working at odd jobs. Tudstall was a good friend of Billy's who was shot, and his death was tragic for Billy. He swore revenge on all those who had been responsible. A group of vigilantes called the Regulators, including Billy, went out after the Dolan gang, part of Murphy's bunch, but Dolan was ready, and soon Billy found himself in jail. A few days later, he was free, and he and his friends again went out and captured Billy Morton and Frank Baker. Those two died while attempting to escape from jail. Soon after, Billy, now the leader of the group, with Doc Skurlock, were involved in a shootout with Sheriff Brady, who was in the Dolan's pocket. Brady was killed. So, hold on one second. Billy continued to roam the country looking for others involved in Tunstall's death. They were involved in another shootout. This time was Andrew Buckshot Roberts, who had been the sheriff posse. Billy's friend, Bowdry, actually shot Roberts, but Billy got blamed. Now, there was a price on his head. So you got a lot going on there, you know what I mean? On July 11th, 1878, Billy joined forces with a large band of Mexicans led by his own friend Martin Chavez. Pepin hired a new posse. He appealed to Dudley at nearby Fort Staten to give him some men. Dudley compiled, even though the U.S. military was not supposed to get involved with civilian disputes. He needed Murphy's supplies of goods and services. It was a standoff. The two traded shots at the city of Lincoln. July 19th, 1878, the enemy set fire to McSween's home. As Billy and his friends attempted to rescue McSween, the posse shot McSween 5 times and killed him. Billy and his friends fled unharmed. They hid out at the Fort Sumner on the Pecos River, where Billy had many friends. They worked at nearby ranches for a while. It was about this time that Billy met Pat Garrett, who then was a bartender for Beaver Smith Saloon Gambling Hall. So, basically, an arrest was set up and Billy was taken in March 23rd, 1879. He gave a detailed statement regarding the activities in the county. In April, he testified before the grand jury. Soon, Billy then found himself about to be tried for the murder of Sheriff Brady, so he escaped from jail again and fled. December 19th, 1880, Billy was captured at Stinking Springs. Billy and his 5 men had just returned to Fort Sumner to get supplies. They were jumped by Garrett, who had been appointed deputy sheriff, and his men. Garrett set out with 16 men but couldn't catch Billy at first. Garrett concerned him at the old deserted house at Stinking Spring about 3 a.m. So Billy was tried, convicted, and sentenced to hang in Missoula by Judge Warren Bristol, suspected of being on the payroll of the Santa Fe Ring and the Dolan gang. The execution date was set for May 13, 1881. They moved back to Lincoln to await that date. Billy escaped from jail on April 18th. May 1881, Garrett hired John W. Poe as deputy. Poe discovered that the kid was still at Fort Sumner, so while there, Billy walked in. Garrett shot him dead, and on July 14th, 1881, he was buried at the old military cemetery at Fort Sumner. So he was 21 years old, 7 months and 22 days when he died. But you got a lot going on there with Billy the Kid, actually.
Well, and once again, I say, if you watch movies, and yes, I've watched a bunch of them, they of course, they did the movie Billy the Kid, and in the original movie, the first one, Pat Garrett was not a working in a bar or whatever. He
Okay.
was a beat up dude, right? Who was well known. And Billy explained a statement to his buddy, I'm gonna be just as big as he is, hell bigger, you know. And then if you do research and find out what this guy actually worked in a bar, you know.
Okay.
Um, a lot of the shenanigans that they pulled in the movie, you probably won't find in the actual history. In the second one, he supposedly hired a lawyer to get him a pardon that he was supposed to have originally got from the governor. And
Okay.
he went under the name Bushy Bill Roberts. And he told the whole story of what, happened back then and everything. Of course, it showed everything, of course. But basically, what it got down to was that the governor back then had promised him a pardon and didn't have the power to go through with it, basically, because of the Irish
Okay.
politicians that had the power at that time in Lincoln County and all that.
Sure.
So, what do you believe? Was that really him? Did he not die back then? Because according to that, um, he turned his back to Pat Garrett and he said, you'll never be me. You'll just be the person that shot Billy the Kid. When you hear the gunshot and then all the party thing breaks out outside, and that's the
Yep.
way. And then you see him, you see hands come and untie a horse, but you don't see who it is. And the horse is walked off to the side of the building so you never see him.
Okay.
So supposedly they're saying there that he didn't really shoot him. It was made up and put another body in the grave of someone who was killed at that time, buried a different another body in the grave, and he supposedly had slipped off, but he was put back and carved an epitaph on the stone, just said Powell's on it.
Okay. Yep.
And then he shows back up in like the 40s, hiring a lawyer to get a pardon that he was supposed to have originally got. And we don't really know. Like I said, movies are what they are. But normally, when they do these movies, there is a little bit of facts involved in it. They just enhance it to make it more exciting. So how much of this was actually fact that they went off of?
Okay.
That raises the big question.
Sure. Absolutely.
Did he really die then, or did he really slip off and come back in the 40s to ask for a pardon?
Yeah. Yep.
Very, very interesting. Love Billy the Kid, though. Okay. We're going to talk about another one of my favorite people, Mr. Doc Holliday.
Nice. Mr. Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday. I know it, Mary. Anyway, John Henry Holliday is best known for his friendship with Wyatt Earp and his gambling and gunfighting practices in the Wild West. He is less well known for having graduated from dental school and having a dental practice in Atlanta, Georgia. When he was diagnosed with tuberculosis, he thought he needed a different climate. If he was going to live, his mother had died of tuberculosis when he was 15, and he did not want to have his life cut short like his mother had. He traveled for a while and became friends with Wyatt Earp and some of his family members. In 1880, he moved to Tombstone to be near his friend Earp and fought alongside him. His friendship with Earp got him involved in now famous shootout at the OK Corral. During the gunfight, several men were killed and several were wounded. Doc Holliday was one of them who sustained a gunshot wound. Now, see, they don't show that in the movie either. When Wyatt Earp's brother Morgan Earp was killed, a feud began between Wyatt Earp and his brother's killers. Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp rose for years in the name of this feud. During that time, many killings took place. John Doc Holliday succumbed to TB at a hotel in Glenwood, Colorado. He had separated from Wyatt Earp by then because his health was failing him. He died on November 8, 1887. Doc Holliday, Doc Holliday never owned this casino during his life. It is said to be named after him in honor of his post-death visit. Doc Holliday died and is buried in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, but he paid many visits to Central City during his life. The Golden Rose Hotel had many accounts of hauntings during its existence. One room in particular received much attention even when empty guests staying in the room on either side would complain to management in the morning about the loud arguments coming from within it. When gaming was re-legalized in 1991, the annex was sold and converted into a casino. It is reported that windows that were locked up the night before would be found open in the morning. Papers would be blown all over across the office, and files would be found strewn about or left inexplicably on the floor. Sometimes files would disappear entirely, only to later show up on a desk. It is believed that the ghost is none other than Doc Holliday paying his visits. Doc Holliday was dying of tuberculosis during the last years of his life, and he knew it. He was often moody and upset, getting into terrible fights with his own and off again girlfriend, Big Nose Kate. Perhaps even after leaving his hard lived life, he hasn't found the peace he was looking for. You know, the movie always, like I said, and this is the thing about movies, as I mentioned before, they always want to upbeat everything, you know,
Oh, of
more
course.
exciting, you know, more,
Yeah.
hell, Doc and Big Nose may not ever sleep together, but yet they portray like, you know, these awesome sexual scenes and all. You know, they had to make everything big.
Oh, of course.
Of course, in the movie, he was in a hospital. He was dying, but Wyatt Earp was coming to visit him all the time, playing cards with him and this, that, and the other thing. You know, at what time, and it doesn't say there at what time did they actually part company where Doc went off his way to live out his remaining days, you know. And of course, you know, in the movie, Wyatt Earp was supposed to go have a showdown with what's his face? Can't think of his name, but he was a gunslinger. He's supposed to be really fast, you know. And Doc made out like he was really bad off, so Wyatt went off, and Doc slipped out and went and met with him and killed him, and told him, what was it he said? You're not a daisy after all.
Yeah.
Like that. You know, if you watch the movie. But that's the thing, though. You know, you dig in the history, and it's kind of scattered. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You'll get bits and pieces here and there, but you never really get the whole story.
Oh, absolutely. No, I
And
completely understand.
when you're trying to put something together like this, you can get, some highlights of this and highlights of that. And you just got to try to put it together and try to see the big picture.
Exactly.
But it's hard to do because, like I said, they're scattered. The information is scattered, and you find a piece here, you find a piece there, and there's a piece missing in the middle. So how do you put it together? You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Um, well, that takes us to the gunfight at the OK Corral. Ike Clayton, Billy Clanton, Tom McLaury, and Frank McLaury have been itching for a fight. Basically, Ike and Tom have been pistol whipped in separate incidences by the Earps, swearing revenge that they have been seen down by the OK Corral armed and talking of killing the Earps. Virgil Earp, the town marshal, enlists Wyatt and Morgan Earp and Doc Holliday walking down Fremont Street on the way to the OK Corral. Virgil hands Doc his shotgun in exchange for Doc's cane. Doc had a long overcoat and conceals the shotgun underneath it, and not to frighten the townspeople. In the tense moment that followed, Morgan and Doc cocked their guns. Suddenly, Billy Claiborne, who was standing away from the area, bolts and runs. Ike grapples with Wyatt, who was about to pistol whip him. The tension explodes and the fight begins. Doc Holliday shoots Frank McLaury in the abdomen from less than 3 feet away. Morgan fires and hits Billy Clanton in the chest, knocking him backwards against a nearby house. Billy, who was in the process of pulling out his gun, shoots in Virgil's direction. Tom jerks on his horses, trying to maneuver the horse between himself and the aggressors. Virgil stands in disbelief at all, as it's been happening all around him. Morgan fires and hits Billy Clanton in the hand. Amazingly, Billy still holds the gun. Still slumped down against the house, Wyatt pistols goes off in a struggle with Ike, grazing the running Billy Claiborne. So basically, you got a whole fight going on out here. Wyatt and Ike continue to struggle against the side of a flying rooming house. Tom and Frank use their horses as shields. Billy Clanton is wounded and dazed. He also vacates the scene. Virgil is still trying to get the cowboys to surrender. Morgan and Doc are looking for clear fields of fire, now obstructed by the cowboys' horses. It just takes a few seconds before the fight resumes. Ike pushes off from Wyatt and bolts behind Virgil. Doc fires at Frank, who is now obstructed by his horse, misses. Frank continues to turn his horse around for better protection. Billy begins to switch his gun from his mangled right hand to his left. Morgan fires 2 consecutive shots at Frank, missing him both times. Doc whirls around and shoots 2 consecutive shots at Ike Clanton. Both miss. Tom McLaury is able to draw his concealed pistol and shoot over his horse at Morgan. So by now, Virgil gives up trying to make the cowboys surrender, drops Doc's cane, and draws his pistol. Doc, fearful of the position he is in now, holsters his pistol and draws the shotgun from under his coat. Frank uses his horse as a shield, circles the fight, and waits for a good shot. Basically, Tom quickly fires again at Morgan, this time successfully toppling Morgan's backward into the street. Billy Clanton uses his left hand, shoots at Virgil, missing. Virgil delays in any shooting for any few seconds. Frank now completely circled his horse and prepares to shoot. So you have a lot of gunfire here, a lot of missing people. Wyatt takes a shot at Tom, missing him, but grazes his horse, causing it to bolt. Frank's first shot passes through the calf of Virgil, who stumbles and uses house as support. Doc blasts Tom, whose horse has bolted, with the shotgun at point-blank range. The shot sends Tom flying down the street. Virgil returns Frank's shot and misses. Frank shoots under his horse's neck and also misses. And Gravely wounded Billy Clanton tries another left-hand shot at Virgil, but misses him. Wyatt takes a long shot at Tom, who had just been blown down the street by Doc's shotgun. Virgil turns to finish off Billy Clanton. Virgil shoots Billy twice, missing once, while Billy misses both of his shots. 4 guns go off simultaneously. Doc is hit in the hip by Frank, and Morgan shoots Frank in the head, killing him instantly. So within the hour, Tom and Billy die of their wounds. Virgil, Morgan, and Doc are wounded but live to fight another day, and only Wyatt and Ike survive the fight unscathed. So that's pretty much the fight at the OK Corral. And there you have it. I mean, those are our outlaws for the night.
Well, the OK Corral, man, and again, as I say, if you watch the movies, of course, it's not all like that.
Yeah.
In the movie, I don't actually remember seeing anybody hiding behind a freaking horse. They were all just up there shooting and everything, and all Billy Badass, you know what I mean? It was, I do remember, I don't really remember Doc being hit, but, wasn't it supposed to have been after this that, the war on the Clantons and all that took
Yeah.
place, when we were chasing after them and all that, trying to, basically, I guess, get the rest of the gang, which was known as the Cowboys, and they had a red flag that they had tied around their neck or whatever. And the original sheriff there was shot by who was the guy that was supposed to have been running the gang at the time, who was out in the street firing off his pistols because he was drunk, and the sheriff went out there to stop him and shot him. And that's how Wyatt became or Virgil or whatever became the marshal there, or the sheriff or whatever.
Well, doesn't it take them back in the day? Doesn't it take them a while to load their guns and shoot everybody? And you know what I mean? Doesn't it take time to sit there and do all that stuff, and then they are missing and
They
just a
had
mess?
at the time, the newer weapons were coming out, and they didn't have to sit there and load them like with the black powder and do all this stuff. Uh, they actually had cartridges that they would put in the cylinders, and a lot of times what they would do, especially if you were a person who used your pistol a lot, they
Okay.
would carry like an extra cylinder that was preloaded. They would just flip out the cylinder and slap a new cylinder on there and close it up, and they'd be ready to go at once. If not, they would have to flip out the cylinder, put the cartridges in one by one, which took time, as you said. So they would carry like an extra cylinder that was already loaded.
Oh, I get you.
They
Okay.
would flip that thing out, and slide that cylinder off, slide on the new one, close it back up, and you're ready to go in there for shots.
Okay. Okay.
But now, when they did, like during the Civil War, when they were using muskets and all that, they did have to reload those things like that.
Oh yeah.
Even the pistols were Captain Ball, and they had to, uh, they would have to pack like the gunpowder and all that stuff. And of course, the pistols had the little packing rod on them.
Okay.
And you would do it like that. But in fact, my brother's got one. It's not an original replica, but it is a replica of the Civil War Captain Ball pistols. And we took it out and shot it one time. That thing's awesome. I love it. I mean, you're talking about, when you nowadays when you take like a 38 or something and you shoot it, there's not, hardly any recoil to it. You take that Captain Ball, you shoot that sucker with the right amount of powder. You shoot that thing, it's gonna go up like this.
Yeah.
It's got a lot more kick, as far as your pistols nowadays do. And that's funny talking about that because I remember watching videos of people firing muskets, and you
Yeah.
pack them things.
Yeah.
And he used
Exactly.
to have a musket rifle too, and I shot, and that was the most accurate gun I ever shot in my life.
Wow.
Um, and I'm going to tell you this story back when I used to partay a little bit. We were at a friend's house, and I just finished drinking a Bush beer, right? And I
Yeah.
took a nail, and I had a board about maybe 2 foot square, and I took a 16 penny nail and I drove it right through the center of this bush deer camp and tacked it to that board. And we had it sitting up against a little tree, and I walked about 300 yards out in the driveway. There was like posts going down the driveway,
Yep.
and I laid that barrel across the post and aimed at that thing. And when I shot the thing, you never believe this, and I didn't. I had to look 3 or 4 times. I hit that 16 penny nail, drove it through that beer can to the board at 300 yards.
Oh, wow.
And of course, who's got a video camera when you need one, right? But I had to look 3 or 4 times to see that actually that's where I hit it dead in the center and drove that nail through the can
Wow.
to the board.
That's crazy. Well, Roger,
Yeah,
I want to thank you very much for being on the show with me tonight. Um, it means a lot. You know what I mean? We'll be doing many shows together, so I wanted to thank you for that.
well, I enjoyed it very much. Both Outlaws, Wild West, the whole 9 yards. And of course, the last show that we did where you were on with me and we talked about the urban legends, I love that stuff too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I have
Yeah,
so
we
many
have a good time together. We really do.
likes about all kind of different stuff, And the stranger the better. I love the strange stuff. But anyways, it's been a blast.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. You are listening to Beyond the Grave Radio with Haunted Salem, and we're here with Roger Belt. And basically, next week we have Raven Wings with Witchcraft. We'll be doing a show with her. Can't wait. That's going to be very exciting. And this, like I said, this is my first live YouTube live event, so we'll work out the kinks and we'll make sure that we can get these shows running smoothly. So, Roger, thank you very much. I want you to have a great night, and I'll keep in touch.
that is awesome. I was trying to tell these people. They saying in the chat room that I have an echo, and I do, and I don't know where it's coming from.
An echo, yeah. We got to work out the kinks. We'll definitely work out the kinks. We've been having trouble even getting you to join tonight due to the fact that we don't know if it's Google or if it's what's going on right now.
This just started today. I've never had a problem. Um, and I couldn't get my friends couldn't come on and join me on an event either, so I don't know what was going on.
Well, I'm glad you got to come on because I really enjoy having you as a guest, as well as the company. I really do.
Aw. You're pretty awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
I love it. And every time we get together, we have a good time. So we will
Yes, we
have
do.
to in the future. Uh, your house is mine, so to speak. We'll do something.
Yep. All right. So, Roger, you take care. Everyone, have a great night. Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. And
Yeah,
we'll see you next week. Good night.
everybody.